in the future, in the next period. My name is Verina Bukvali-Bašić, and I will be your moderator today on this panel. I work for RYCO local branch office here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it's my pleasure actually to be the ambassador and Mr. Svenungsson, and I hope that I am pronouncing well your name, and I apologize in advance for this, but also it is my pleasure to have recognizable young people who are actually doing something concretely in the field, but also grantees of RYCO project, and not just only RYCO, but also open calls and projects which are supported by RYCO and European Commission. Today with us, we have Ambassador Sattler, and before I actually go straight forward with the question, I would like just to say 2 sentences about this panel. It is a series of panel which was organized by Delegation of European Union, and this panel is in cooperation with RYCO. It is called Europe and Youth, United and Not Divided, and it's an online panel discussion, and we will talk today about youth activism, reconciliation, democratization, and I like to say that maybe this panel today will be a little easing up, but also a chit-chat panel, that it will be a general checkpoint of where we as a civil society or society in general, but also education and schools, stand with all of our activities at the moment in terms of peace building, reconciliation, intercultural dialogue, and youth participation in general. So I would like to have you very much relaxed and to envisage this, because it is really planned as a safe platform for you to share your opinions, your statement, but also critics about what we are doing and where we stand, as I said, with our efforts in peace building, reconciliation, and youth participation. Ambassador Johan Sattler, probably all of you know, but it's not bad to say again, is the head of the delegation of the European Union to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and is the European Union Special Representative from September 2019. Maybe my favorite part about his professional track record is that he recently was an Austrian ambassador to Albania, where actually RYCO is formally registered and sitting. And I think that ambassador's focus from then, but also nowadays, has been and is still Western Balkans. And I think that a lot of the experience previously, but also nowadays, it can be shared with us today. So I don't know how much of us today on this panel, but I know that I have. I tracked yesterday and monitored the media, and I've seen actually that you've been in an official visit to Srebrenica, to Memorial Center, and talking about past. My question for you would be very much straightforward. If we're mentioning Srebrenica, but not only Srebrenica, but generally the past of Bosnia and Herzegovina, do you believe that there is a dialogue about the past in Bosnia and Herzegovina? And what do you think is the role of young professionals, people as such we have today on the panel? And is the reconciliation process too burdened by the nationalistic narratives, or actually is not? So, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Verina, and good to have you all around this table. I'll be short because I will be interested in listening to you, what you have to say on this important topic, because in the end, it's going to be your generation who's going to make a difference in this country and in this region. Yes, I came back from Srebrenica last night. I always like to do that, to go to Srebrenica before the 11th of July, to take time to talk to people. I mean, the 11th of July is very hard day and very scripted everything, and no time really to delve a little bit deeper. That's why I took this day yesterday, had a lot of meetings there, and spent time in the Memorial Center and opened the archives space. I think this is something which is a very good step for the Memorial Center and for the country to, converting the center as a center as a visitor center, as showing people through the Potocari Memorial, through the graveyard, through the what happened actually in July '95, the genocide. From that, going from that to a place of learning, to a place of researching, to a place which is open for historians, for researchers, for teachers, to be used in the process, also to counter false narratives, to counter those who diminish what happened, in Srebrenica in '95. Education is the strongest tool we have in terms of changing things, in terms of changing attitudes of people. And therefore, I'm very happy that we made this investment. This is one of the first things I came here a year and a half ago, and I'm very happy we could pull through quickly. It's not always easy with our structures, with the regulations that we have projects done quickly. This one we did in a very quickly, also because there was the need. Mr. Zulegic asked me to help them on this one, and we were able to respond. And this is something positive, I find, because we need knowledge, we need education, we need also youngsters to be taken to this to the Memorial Center. Like in Austria or in Germany, you have the concentration camps. These camps are, they have been used the last 70 years for education purposes, basically. No scholar, no youngster, including myself, went through school without going there at least once. So this also needs to happen in this country if we want to make progress. One point on this one, on reconciliation, this is a part of our to-do list for Bosnia and Herzegovina. So if this country wants to move to the next step, which is the candidate status and then accession negotiations, there has to be more to be done on reconciliation. We see a lot of good initiatives. Many of you are involved in grassroots and civil society organizations, and I meet a lot of you and your colleagues going through the country. What we also need is that this be translated on the political level, and this is the difficult part. And this is what you mentioned before, Berina. I mean, to change this nationalist narrative, which is reinforced by media. So how to break that? How to make your themes the main theme in the country, to bridge the gap and not to try to exacerbate it, try to create fear, because in the end, unfortunately, this is what politicians have realized the last 25 years. Fear works. So you stoke the nationalist rhetoric, and this is a good weapon to win elections. This is unfortunately the dynamic we have. We have tried very hard last year. Last point from my side. Last year, together with colleagues from the OSCE, from the US, to get the 3 members of the BIH presidency together to commemorate all the civilian victims of the war. 25 years after Dayton, it was high time. It was, in the end, unfortunately, impossible. Still, we don't have that understanding on the highest level that we need these gestures, like what we've seen in Europe of these gestures of leaders of countries like the French President Mitterrand, the German Chancellor Kohl, coming together over the graveyards, holding hands and commemorating all the victims together. This is something which unfortunately is not yet there. We keep working, we keep pushing on that, but I would be interested in hearing from you what we can do that this is also translated on the political level. Back to you.
Thank you for that. I really kept notes. I'm not acting that I'm writing something, but really I am. And thank you for mentioning education as the strongest tool, because we have today 3 people, or 2 mainly from schools. We have Alan from Travnik, from Catholic School Center, from Gymnasium Travnik, and also Branka Ljubojević, who is a professor at Gymnasium Banja Luka. And I would actually like to hear them also referring to what you've said. Thank you for this, and I will still keep you for the next question here, but I would now go to Mr. and I apologize in advance if I'm not pronouncing it well, Torgny Svenungsson, who is a consular head of development cooperation at the Embassy of Sweden. And I would just make a small intro, if you allow me, as the first question that I'm going to ask you. I've read, and I've actually also tracked a bit. The last year, Sweden had one interesting initiative, if I may say so, and steps in order to address the truth and reconciliation process. And it was about the minority in Sweden and about Meänkieli language. I also do not know, am I pronouncing this well? And basically the Commission for Truth and Reconciliation was established, and it is not actually that the work of this commission will not be to track I don't know, the language differences, but actually to see why the violences and violent acts against these national minority and their language and right to speak and use their language actually is in danger, let's say. And importantly, I would like to ask you from that perspective, from Swedish maybe perspective, why are these processes and acknowledging the truth important for the stability of one society and country? Because please allow me to tell you that young people and generally Bosnia and Herzegovina really do see European Union, but also see Sweden, let's say, or Germany or France as a countries who are stable. Is this what the Ambassador Sattler said, that we are actually, seen in these countries the declarative but also political reconciliation, or it's actually something else? So why is it important to acknowledge that there has been a violation of someone's right and then to say the truth about that? So if you can share with us, the floor is yours. I'm sorry for having a longer intro.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Verina, and my greetings, everyone. Happy to be here, Ambassador Sattler, and all you people engaged in youth issues and also in this specific topic. Pleased to meet you from RYCO also, because we have been approaching you from Sweden. SIDA is in a dialogue, we can say, with you on support. And also thank you for the occasion to sort of dive into an issue that I must say, I'm not part of this minority myself, but it is an interesting issue. It's about historical wrongdoing and oppression of people. This occurred basically from the sort of end, with the sort of the rise of nationalism, I would say, in Europe towards the end of the 19th century, the last decades, and into the 20th century. That the pressure to sort of assimilate and to make Swedish, you can say, minorities that were speaking different languages in Sweden. So in this case, we're talking about meänkieli, you pronounced quite correctly, and it's a minority living in the border region between Finland and Sweden. So it's Finnish. It's a Finnish dialect, or it's a different language actually from Finnish, but it's quite specific. So yes, there has been, like a year ago, established a Truth and Reconciliation Commission composed of academics and people knowledgeable in these matters, who will try to make visible what happened, and also to contribute to restoring rights and dignity of this minority, and to promote reconciliation with this, and of course to prevent this from happening again in the future. And why is it important? It's a big issue, a big question, and I'm not sure I can touch upon some elements from my perspective. Of course, all parallels to BIH are coincidental, but I guess some lessons can be learned, you know. But I think this, first of all, is a question about justice, basically about human rights, and that is important in itself. So that's why it is of concern to Sweden, and it should have been done such a long time ago. It's really a heritage. We have the same issue with the Sami population of Sweden, that also has gone through the same type of oppression and marginalization, where you have the same processes. But I think it's about, if you suppress and deny grievances and like historical wrongdoings in this way, you know, this group will definitely, in the first place, not feel part of society. They will feel marginalized. It's not their society. And it will cause instability and potential conflict. That's, I think, what we can see in many places in the world. And we also see it in Sweden, I would say, today, when we grapple with effective ways of integrating new Swedes, that we can say, people who have immigrated to Sweden. And we're not good at it. We're really grappling, I think, and it's not going well. So that is like contemporary problem that we're dealing with, but it's another important one. So basically, if you push it under the rug, it will eventually come up. That's, I think, my simple answer to your question.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm just imagining how the Bosnian Herzegovinian rug is looking like, and I think we have a lot of issues under it. But yeah, I would like actually to hear others also referring to what you said, and this historical wrongdoing is something that we can make as a parallel to Bosnia and Herzegovina and the past that we had. So thank you for sharing this example from Sweden. I would like to also have you here, if that's possible. I hope that your time will allow it. I would now go to the panelists and actually go very straightforward. I know that Ambassador also likes to be more vivid, but also to have discussion on point. And I will say that all of these people who are today are more or less the people that I'm seeing always in sector, that I'm meeting in sector, and some of them, as I said, are the grantees of the European Commission and RYCO grants, and they implemented the project in the region, in the Western Balkans, with young people. Target groups which differ, I mean, from youth population, from the vulnerable groups to marginalized, but also those who are very much on top level, let's say, smart kids who have something to say. First of the panelists that I would like to invite for a brief session Q&A, it's Vladimir Čorić. We are going a bit in a sunny part of Bosnia and Herzegovina in Mostar. He's coming from Mostar. He's from OKC Abrašević, and he's a project manager and winner of the Social Impact Award from Mostar. He graduated political science in Mostar on topic of intercultural cities, and I think he's the one who can share a bit of his experience in this topic. He is working on regional but also European level. And Vladimir, you know that we prepared, but I think it's very fair enough to hear you answer on this question. So it's 2021. We are still in pandemic. Please, can you share with us where are the young people, what we are doing, where are the youth activists, and what is actually activism nowadays when we are talking about COVID-19, 2021, online processes, and so on. So the floor is yours. Yeah.
Thank you, Berina. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be part of this online panel, and I'm really grateful to meet everyone who I still didn't meet. So when we say youth activism, it's a bit different to speak what is youth activism in Mostar comparing to what is youth activism in other cities, because other cities lived in pretty democratic reality in the past 10 years, because as you all know, Mostar was without local elections in the previous 10 years, and we just had in December our first local elections. So many young people, it was their first time to go out to vote on the local elections. So it is really difficult to be active in a local society that basically didn't have any system. So when we always spoke to each other, okay, what are we going to do? The problem was always you don't have any functional system, because the young people completely lost the trust into institution, in the city administration, because they felt like they've been left behind, like no one did anything for them. So often young people like to say, okay, if we can't be part of this system, we'll try to build our own parallel systems. So now, even if most of the young people from my environment are not quite satisfied with the results of the local elections, now I see that there is a new kind of potential, that new generations are really willing to try to do something in order to change the current situation. And why am I a bit optimistic is because if we go a bit into the past, we can say that there was a big problem in Mostar regarding divided communities, young people not being able to do anything together. And I think with our work, with work of other stakeholders from the civil society and other informal groups, I think that we managed to overcome that situation and to build up a different kind of narrative. So I think that now young people are more focused on trying to create environment in which they can put pressure on the city administration, on government officials, on politicians to do their work. Because young people finally realize that when you try to promote the problem with nationalism as a main narrative, that is always like an excuse. Because young people are now starting to realize and starting to demand, okay, we don't care who is in charge, from which political party, if he or she is a Croat, Serb, or Bosniak. What we want to do, we want to see results. We want to see something.
Sorry to interrupt you, but it seems sometimes that actually young people care who is in charge. And what is the situation then in that case?
Well, now, as I mentioned, they're a bit disappointed because the same political options that were responsible for the situation in Mostar are still in charge. So that is the reason why the level of confidence and optimism it's not higher. Like they still believe maybe with the new, like we have a new mayor, but we are still having the same old administration.
Same system, yeah.
Yeah, the same system. So like and also you mentioned COVID, and that had also lots of influence on young people. It's difficult for them to find a job. It's difficult for them to find any activities to be part of in the long term, because they need to look for the jobs. So unfortunately, when it comes to Mostar, a lot of the young people are deciding to move to some other countries, especially those who have Croatian citizenship. So it's easier for them to reallocate somewhere else. But not to be too pessimistic. As I mentioned, we have different kinds of initiatives, different kind of young people, formal and informal groups that are really eager to try to do something, because what is most important to us, they realize that democracy is not just to go out and to vote. Democracy is what are you doing during the time between the elections. So I think that is something to be looking forward to.
It's actually before, during, and after the election, I would say. I just hope that with our colleagues and, you know, in general, youth population, the saying, in order to change the system, you must be part of the system. I just hope this will not be a mantra for them. Thank you, Vladimir. I'll come back to you later on. We are still in Mostar. I would like to invite Irma Husic-Pandur, who is working in United World College as an endowment and alumni officer. She holds a master's degree in human rights and multiculturalism from University of Southeastern Norway. She has generally the interest in human rights, but she has been the other side of RYCO project in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So she is basically someone who's been nagged by me a lot of time. United World College is a grantee exactly on the third open call, which is supported by European Commission and RYCO. And Irma, question for you is that we all know, I mean, who doesn't know, we'll find out today, but United World College is a symbol of unity and diversity at one place. Is that your starting point when you design projects or write project proposals to pitch for a grant? How do you find challenges when you're referring to so many divided examples in Mostar, but then again, you work in an environment where everything is functioning? The more you are different, the better it is. So talking from Mostar perspective, but also talking from United World College, how do you find ideas? Do you really imagine things, or you really find the concrete challenge and problem from local community and then put it on paper? And then, I mean, tell us that, you know, the story about RYCO project is nothing. You can sum it up.
Thank you, Verena, so much, and really thank you for having me. I'm really speaking to all of you, and also thank you for calling us young. While I might not be so young, I do work with young people, especially the high school students at United World College in Mostar. So yes, I work in the school that brings students from different parts of the world in Mostar, but I think more importantly, students from different parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina and countries in the region to actually live and study and work in the community of Mostar together. Those are the students aged 15 to 18 mostly. We are a small school that works under the IB diploma, And I would say that IB diploma is not unique to us in the country, but what is unique to us is our community engagement program. This is where we work with different organizations in Mostar, and we work with Roma people, refugees, orphans, elderly, children, and youth with disabilities. So we've been here for 15 years, and after 15 years of our existence, we have actually revisited our mission statement, and now it states, actually it sounds now building bridges between people and cultures through inspiring a quality education. So basically our idea now, after 15 years of existence in Mostar and Bosnia and Herzegovina, is to expand our mission through building regional partnerships. And this is where actually RYCO helped us on this third call, and we managed to have partnerships with organizations from Serbia, Kosovo, and Montenegro, and some of those being educational institutions, and some are civil society organizations that are also working in the field of non-formal education. So you asked about how we find the project. So I'll just back up Vladimir here and say that Mostar and generally our community really is a kind of place where we don't have to really look for problems. There are problems around us, and some of these things we can tackle through education, especially in what I'm talking about is non-formal education, even though we are an educational institution that works for formal diploma. So the short courses that we have been organizing, one that has been actually supported by RYCO is Bridging Culture short course. We first started this in 2018, and then we had one in 2019, and then the last one now in 2020 and 2021, which was actually supported.
May I just interrupt you? Sorry, for the sake of process of that, what you are doing. What do you achieve when you have those short courses on activities on the regional level? What do you see as a change in the community? So this is what we are interested in. Are we actually contributing with our supporting activities, supported activities by EC, RYCO, UN, or whatever, what we are doing in the field? Are there any changes in this regard of peace building and reconciliation?
Of course, I mean, the topics that we work on are some, for example, this topic of short course of bridging cultures. It might seem very high level, and some of the goals might seem very high level to achieve with one activity, but having young people doing the exchange to another country, meeting young people from different parts of the country, if they haven't had chance to do that before, actually is a step forward towards the reconciliation. Reconciliation and peace building, not only in the country but also in the region. So yes, some small projects where young people work on on initiatives of mutual interest, actually bring them together and make them actually work communities through the things that they are interested in. Not only this might be the topic of bridging cultures or peace building, but also IT or STEM or sustainability, ecology, anything that comes as their mutual interest, but actually brings them together to work towards the improvement of their communities.
Thank you for mentioning that last thing, because it's important. And I think that people expect from every activity that it's supported by the big international partners and friends, such as, I don't know, European Commission or UN or RYCO. In the end, as a mechanism, they expect miracles, but actually just pointing out the problems and gathering young people in the Western Balkans is a huge milestone. I think we found out that when we did the evaluation of the project, and when we saw that for the first time someone from Prizren is meeting someone from Mostar, or someone from I don't know, Podgorica is coming for the first time in, I don't know, Niš in Serbia, and so on. And I think that's a great milestone. And I think gathering them to work together, it has been a media also reinforced, like, just project, tick the box, but it's actually a great process of itself. Thank you, Irma. Also stay with us a bit more. The next who I would like to invite is Alen Budalo, and we are going a bit to Travnik. Alen is also coming from, is coming from school, more or less, Catholic School Center or Gymnasium Travnik. He has been working as a program coordinator in Central Bosnia, mainly on youth projects. He is mainly working on the development or creation of a bond between youth in the Western Balkans. He has been in Erasmus Salto, but also now in RYCO. I will not go further, but I will ask you, Alene, since we also prepared Travnik and Novi Travnik are also specific story in regard to process of youth activism, participation, and peace building. What do you think, what young people of Travnik are thinking? Are we united or are we divided in Bosnia and Herzegovina? But please be very honest about it.
No problem. Well, first of all, good day to all of you. My name is Alan once again. I'd like to greet all of you, and Berina, thanks for having me here. Well, I've been working now with the youth for 5 years, and I have now enough experience to find what actually works and what doesn't work. The youth have never been a problem. They are fine. That's not an issue, and we have to be clear about that. The problem here, at least the problem I find here, is there is no human resources who can support youth work on such projects, particularly informal sector of education, because schools are very rigid, schools are very well defined, and it's really hard to change the structure from within if you want to implement such projects. That's why we have only NGOs working with such projects. But the key institution where we have youth are schools. The majority of youth are there. So we have to find a mechanism to work with them, but through schools, because that's basically the base for youth work. And on the other hand, if we continue to work with youth in schools directly, they will develop this identity related to their schools, and they don't have to go outside to get what is needed for this non-formal education when it comes to that. And another problem which I find quite frustrating is the fact that media always attacks schools when it comes to the vision that we have, particularly in Central Bosnia and in Herzegovina. Schools are not those who create programs. It's cantonal institutions. They basically manage the vision. So schools have very little say in how they can or cannot work on such projects. So we have to push toward ministries or cantonal ministries, and maybe partially federal ministry, to end these sort of divided agendas that they push toward the schools. And what I see here is that schools are in most of the cases just objects in the hands of cantonal ministries. So we cannot do that much when we have obligations toward cantonal ministries, and they run the vision. So that's why schools feel triggered and angry when we see all these media articles against schools. No, schools are not the problem here, and youth particularly. No, we have to focus on political institutions.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you. Actually, I think that Ambassador Sattler said this, it's actually how to transform this narrative in a political one, or this reconciliation efforts on not only declarative, but also really to reconcile or to see on what things we need to reconcile. And I think Vladimir as well said this, it's about the system, Alena, if you agree. You also know that the struggles that we have as RYCO and grantees of RYCO, and I fully agree that the system is a bit rigid, but also old school, if I may say so, and you will allow me. But also I do have a white rabbit in the hat, and the new project of GIZ in cooperation with RYCO is the school-to-school or S2S project, as we call it. So it's a good maybe time to just mention it. We will also work, one component will be working with the ministries and school. And I think Branka is also a good example here. Through UN project and RYCO, Branka had opportunity to participate in different trainings, and also she was part of the group of professors who created a manual, peer educational manual, basically training tools for professors to be more innovative in their let's say formal schooling and teaching of young people. So I will come back to when Branka will be on spotlight. So thank you, Alena. Please as well stay with us. I would like to just give one technical remark now to Ambassador and Mr. Torgny. We will invite now Enisa Mešetović, and she will speak in Bosnian. I will ask her question in English, but in order to understand her fully, you have a translation, which is in a down right corner, and you have interpretation, so you can set it for yourself. So Anissa is someone who I'm actually very proud to have here today among all of you, because she is the one who brought RYCO project to Iliash, which is not so far from Sarajevo, but again, it's not considered as a very urban environment, let's say, because the big cities are the big cities. I think Anissa will agree with me, but that's also the misperception and why we need to go and work in small communities with young people, but also with the institution. She started very early with her activism, but I will just say that she is a certified professional associate for youth work. So she is a certified youth officer. She worked in an NGO, and she is still closely working with the youth organization Carpe Diem in Iliash. But as of 2018, she has been employed in the municipality of Iliash, and she is an expert associate for education, youth affairs, and the NGO sector. She literally was on the panel session of RYCO promoting the open call. She heard it, she took the idea, and she went to her local community, and yeah, they won the grant. I mean, they got it because the project was very successful and well written. But Anissa, you are, I mean, the interesting story is that one youth officer, one governmental official actually brought something that is not governmental in total of their own property. So you brought the RYCO colors in your community. You partnered with local school and with local youth organization. You applied for a regional project and you got the funds. How did you make all of this happen? Just briefly, what was the inspiration, but also tell us something concretely. How did young people acted upon this project when it came in Iliaš?
Ovako, pozdrav od mene. Ja sam napravila malu pometnju sa bosanskim jezikom, ali meni je ugodnije da razgovaram. Verina, hvala ti za ovo sjajno pitanje. Prije svega želim reći da su zaista mogućnosti svuda oko nas, pa tako i ovaj sa RYCO-om. Ja sam kao službenica za mlade učestvovala na info sesiji koju si vodila upravo ti, Verina, i pomislila sam, pa Bože, zašto i mi ne bi to u našem Iliašu realizovali, zašto ne bi pružili mladima tu mogućnost, pogotovo zato što sam bila vođena i nekom ličnom emocijom, zato što sam i ja izgubila oca u ratu u Bosni i Hercegovini i zaista svjesna sam koliko mladi u manjim lokalnim sredinama su zatvoreni i koliko su opterećeni prošlošću. Tako da smo odlučili aplicirati, rekli smo idemo, ja sam tu ideju prenijela ovdje u srednju školu i omladinsku organizaciju Carpe Diem i aplicirali smo sa našim projektom Mladi sa brdovitog Balkana, onako simboličnog naziva. I naš projekat je zaista bio odobren i za nas, možda ti kažeš, nisu neke revolucije, ali za nas je zaista bila revolucija zato što se u Iliašu nikada do sad nije realizovao jedan takav projekat. Dakle, ovo je bilo prvi put da radimo nešto tako i imali smo partnere u Crnoj Gori i Srbiji i ono što ja mogu reći da je ovaj projekat prije svega bio ispunjen jakim emocijama. Zašto to kažem? Zato što kada su mladi iz Srbije, Bosne i Hercegovine i Crne Gore posjetili, evo recimo, muzej ratnog djetinjstva, oni su svi plakali. Dakle, kada su gledali sa čim su se njihovi vršnjaci sretali tokom rata u Bosni i Hercegovini i koliko u stvari se ispunjavaju tom nekom negativnom energijom, oni su jednostavno ostali bez riječi, plakali su. Isto tako u neformalnim druženjima tokom edukacija, oni su u stvari shvatili da su oni isti, da se susreću sa istim problemima i da samo žele ono što žele njihovi vršnjaci širom Evropske unije. Dakle, to su jednake prilike, jednako obrazovanje, prilika da napreduju, da uče i da stvaraju bolju budućnost kako u svojoj domovini naravno, a tako i za cijeli region i Evropsku uniju. I ja to zaista vidim kao konkretne neke uspjehe našeg projekta, a između ostalog i činjenicu da mnogo mladih nikada nije putovalo van granica Bosne i Hercegovine. Zaista, ja sam bila iako radim s mladima, iznenađena da imamo mladu osobu od 17 godina koja do sada nije imala priliku da ode u bilo koju državu u regionu. Zašto? Zato što smatra zato što osjeća, da kažem, neku vrstu straha da ode, zato što im se nameće da ne trebaju da idu, da se ne trebaju družiti sa mladima druge vjere i nacionalnosti. Sve su to zaista realni problemi sa terena i tih manjih lokalnih zajednica. I zato je meni važno bilo da se ovaj projekat realizuje upravo u Iljašu, da pokažemo da mladi žele svi isto, da mladima u ruralnim i manjim sredinama trebaju ovakve prilike. Zašto? Naravno zato jer kroz ove projekte oni otvore svoje upoznaju mlade iz regiona i trajno održavaju kontakte i šire te mreže pozitivnih priče koje nama u stvari i trebaju.
Hvala, Tjenica. Thank you for mentioning one important thing. You said there are a couple of people from the group that visited Bosnia and Herzegovina, or people from Bosnia and Herzegovina who never went across the border. I am unfortunately here to also break down one fact from Bosnia and Herzegovina. There are also young people and people in general who never crossed the line of entity, let's say, or someone from Republika Srpska to come to Federation, but also, you know, someone from Herzegovina to come in the upper part, let's say. And this is the sad real situation. But I think that we are managing to even demystify this kind of narrative, you know, not traveling within your country, which is very much needed. And actually one of the RYCO goals is, if you want to fight with the prejudice and stereotypes, go and see it. Don't wait for Verina to tell you a story. Go to, you know, to Srebrenica, go to Prijedor, go to see what Kazani are all about, and the other examples, unfortunately, that we have it in the region as well. Thank you for actually underlining.
Složit ću se, izvini Verina, ali zaista potrebno je naglasiti da nemaju svi mladi mogućnosti da putuju. Dakle, nemaju uslove neke egzistencijalne da bi putovali, jer imaju, nažalost, mnogi od njih i samo neke osnovne. Evo sada u doba pandemije svjesni smo da mladi nemaju, srednjoškolci, uslova za online nastavu. Tako da moramo razmišljati u širem kontekstu i o mladima koji zaista, nažalost, nemaju prilike da putuju. I ovi projekti to i omogućuju.
Tačno, absolutely. You're totally right. I mean, we even discussed this when we were working in 2020, all of us who were a bit surprised by the pandemic. We thought that we are gathering the targeted young population or young group, but actually we are not. Those who we want to work with do not have internet or do not have money to pay the cable net or whatever. They don't have the appropriate laptop. They are never online on these Zooms and seminars and so on. And I really think that among all policies and narratives and politics, we again forgot these kind of population. And I will not call them marginalized. I will just call them dislocated, because they are just not at the right time, in the right place. And I think we are struggling as much as every other institution, organization, or individuals or a group who are working with young people. And thank you for underlining the power and importance of working in the local, smaller communities. Let's say in rural communities. That's very important, and thank you for highlighting that. I would actually like to hear again Ambassador, but also Mr. Torgny. But before we go, I would like to ask Branka, and Branka is a teacher from Gymnasium Banja Luka. She has been working as an English teacher in primary school, but also as an English and Serbian teacher in primary and secondary school. She was one of the partners of the RYCO project on the first open call before 2 years ago, and she has a very, let's say, a very remarkable CV. She is very connected, but also she was part of the group of teachers who participated in the program of UN and RYCO, and she had opportunity to meet professors from the other, let's say, other countries or contracting parties, as we call it. And the biggest wish of Branka is actually to create conditions and projects for youth from Bosnia and Herzegovina to meet each other. And this sentence, when she sent me, struck me the most, because what can we expect from every single teacher? They had similar or consolidated wishes such as Branka. I think we can make a powerful, steps forward. Branka, please, can you share with us just in a brief segment how do teachers cope with all kinds of challenges at this moment? Because we just mentioned with Anissa, not all of the people, young people, have internet or laptops. What is the biggest problem when you're working with young people now? And what do you learn in perspective of students, young people, and their needs in, let's say, in case of peace building and reconciliation? Is the same need of young person from Banja Luka, young person from Mostar, and the one, I don't know, from Belgrade or Albania, Tirana, and so on?
Okay, Verina, I hope you hear me because I have some problems with internet connection. I'm at school from this morning.
I will just recommend you to turn off the camera. Probably it will be better to hear you because you are a bit late with the picture. Just turn off the camera and you can speak.
Okay, now you have a chance to see me.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have a chance to see my photo from Rome, I think, nearby the Rome last excursion. Okay, hello to everyone, and thank you very much for giving me opportunity to be with you today, even though this is one of the most of the busiest day in the year when we are working with graduation works and young people who are finishing high school. Thank you very much for nice words that you said about me. I just think that I'm a normal teacher in Bosnia who works for 20 years, and I still think that I'm a little bit more young person than an old one. I grew up during the war, and I know how it was before the war, and I know how it was during the war, and I know what we lost. So I really want this students of mine to use all the opportunities they have. I had an opportunity during my work years to be a debate teacher and work in a great debate, we called it family, in Bosnia. And I think it was the only organization who works with teachers and students from all over Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I'm participating in debate Center for Cultivating Dialogue for 10 years. So my experience...
Sorry for interruption. When this debate process was, in which year?
That debate process started in Bosnia in 1998.
And can you draw a parallel from that period of time and now? What is different?
Okay, I can try to draw a parallel between 2010 when I started to work in debate. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
And now, and I'm not sure that a lot of things changed. When you are a part of that big community which has same or similar wishes and views, you feel that something has changed and that something is changing. But when you get back home, and when I say you, I think me or any other of my colleagues from Sarajevo, from Mostar, from Travnik, from, I don't know, every city in Bosnia. When you come back home, you see that you are a unique person, that you are not a part, because not all the people have the same attitude, same views about this kind of connecting young people. I really think that when I was a colleague from Mostar today, I was thinking like a very thing is that we were waiting for United World College to come here and to connect kids from Bosnia. That's really sad thing. And it is also, as the colleague from Travnik said, it is also a very big problem when you can work on this kind of project only out of school with the non-governmental organizations, because we really have to admit, all of us, that this kind of activity is not so welcome at the state schools, at the system, because all the ministries will say, okay, we will do that, but when you when you try to do something in the school, like representing yourself as a member of the school, as a teacher of the state school, as someone who is getting payment from the ministry, you really need to take care and you really need to watch out how will you act in the classes or in some projects. I tried to a few classes like making on our manual that we made with Sarah in UNICEF and RYCO project, Teachers Toolkit. I tried a lot of lessons with my students, but it was like some kind of a pretty private activity. So that is something which is very, very sad. And I really don't think that we moved from 2010. I did, and I really feel that every student who was at my classes, doesn't matter, debates, Serbian language, literature, whatever, felt the same. Last 2 years ago, I had a literature class in mosque in Banja Luka, and that was like represented by media as like I don't know, like the Third World War or something that big, because I just thought that working on Pamuk novels, My Name is Red, would be more appropriate to be in a mosque where you are surrounded by the wall painting that he is describing. But still in my community, and I don't think it's just my community, it's every community in Bosnia, even though much smaller communities are worse with those questions. So
they are more closed.
I'm not so optimistic, but it is not the point that we stop doing this.
Yeah, for
because
sure. I mean, unfortunately, if I just can interrupt you a bit to move forward, unfortunately, I'm sad to hear that nothing has changed from 2001 or 10, I don't know which year you mentioned, but also it's the reality, you know, it's again what Alan said, it's the system. So instead of, as we said with Anissa, going local is very crucial, going above the system apparently, or outside of the system is also crucial. So I actually agree to all of your attempts to not only get to think outside of the box, but actually to get rid of the box, of the system in which you are working. And Branka, thank you for actively participating in our groups with also this teachers toolkit. And for sure, please stay with us. I will try somehow to ask very directly Ambassador Sattler, if this is okay, and we can wrap up with this circle of questions. It is, I mean, it's very obvious. EU will always be a partner and will always put Bosnia on its EU path. And you continue to support us. On the other hand, this is a straightforward question. I mean, we are not doing our best. We are not fulfilling the promises. We are not doing the reforms that we need to do. We are not, you see, we are not helping teachers to do something innovative, to do something good, even though they're saying for 20 years now that the system is actually something that is closing their eyes, but also the eyes and minds of young people. So if you continue to support Bosnia and Herzegovina, when do you stop supporting a country that doesn't fulfill its promises towards the EU path? And do you have an expiration date? I mean, support of EU?
No, there is no expiration date. This is the short answer, because there is no other way than to keep working and being strongly engaged here as the European Union, its member states like Sweden and others who are very active in this one. This is the region we have to get right. This is our immediate neighborhood. If you're not able to get this region right, we are having a problem in trying to portray and trying to play a bigger role in world politics. So that's why this more and more people and politicians in the European Union realize that this is absolutely key, that we stabilize this region, we keep the perspective up. Nobody knows how long the accession process is going to take, and yes, also for me, it's slow, but it's also slow because, as you say, you know, there's not too much action, there's not too much delivering on the promises which we're getting. We have the opinion from the Commission for Bosnia and Herzegovina since 2 years on the table. Since May 2019, to be honest, not much has happened. Mostar, yes, this I believe is a positive example. After 12 years, final elections, even though Vladimir is not happy and many people are not happy with the election results. Look, but this is what a democracy is about. I mean, this is also for young people to get involved and to offer alternatives. It's not easy to break the cycles, also because the ethnic parties have created paternalistic systems, which make it easier for them to stay in power for a longer time. But at least there is a process now. Again, in Mostar, we have the city council, we have opposition, we have oversight, and this is something positive, and we need to build upon. I'm very grateful for all these inspiring examples when it comes to reaching out, to bridging the gap. What you do, Irma in Mostar, or in Iliash, or in Travnik, or in Banja Luka. I think this is great. This is what needs to continue to happen, because and these initiatives also on the regional level, which with RYCO, which is a copy, if you want, from the German Franco Youth Exchange, the most successful project in reconciliation in the 20th century. This is positive, and this is inspiring. And I believe, for having worked in the region for a long time, I think there is a lot happening there, and this is very positive. What I miss a bit, and where I'm a bit worried, to be honest, is what I've said in the beginning, that this is not being translated into the system, into politics, into the narratives which are being produced and reproduced by media. Media play an important role in this, and many, unfortunately, reinforce those nationalist narratives. That's why it's so important to keep supporting, and we do that. Public services, public broadcasting, they are very weak in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also in other countries in the region. They need to play an important role in order to change that narrative from top. And this is something I think we all need to think harder. And I ask also all of you to keep thinking about that. What can we do for that to be translated into the political level itself? Because without that, without coming to terms with the past, this is something we haven't had much opportunity today to discuss. But this is also something very important: coming to terms with the past. What happened in Srebrenica? What happened during those 4 terrible years of war? I think this is very, very important and needs to be strengthened. Srebrenica is the memorial center, is a good starting point where youngsters need to go, need to reflect, but also this needs to be happening on all sides. So whatever we can do there, I would be very interested in keep hearing from you and your inspiring examples. But thanks a lot for this debate. Thanks for your inspiring examples. What's happening on your levels, and please keep up your good work.
You're welcome, and thank you for your very big no, if I can say. I think that the support of EU, even though we are not being the best pupils in the region, we really need it. And I will just share one thing. I think that working in the sector and working on reconciliation and peace building, and someone who is maybe not that important to the other people at the table, but I can hear for so long time now that you are only discussing the reconciliation and peace building, but you are not doing anything. And I need to disagree here, because I think that the important part of the reconciliation process is dialogue at the beginning, and is story about what we can do. And you mentioned OFA, German French youth office for exchange of young people, and I think they also needed 30-40 years to agree on some terms, and also their results in the beginning were not that positive or optimistic, but then they are the best example of a reconciliation path, let's say. And I'm sorry that the ambassador of Germany is not here today with us, but she would for sure share the thing that she shared with me before, and she said it takes a long way. So it's not instant results, and it's not that easy. Thank you, Ambassador Sattler, for always being actually supportive for all initiatives, but also for RYCO work. We feel that, and we see that completely. I would like to ask once again Mr. Svenungsson just to share a bit with us on the same topic of reconciliation and peace building, but also in terms of development as a society. how, I mean, I know you are cooperating and investing in RYCO as well, but also in young people in Bosnia, because I also know that Swedish Embassy is cooperating with, let's say, Institute for Youth Development, Culture, also cooperating with other civil society organizations. But what is your lead principle, and how does Sweden generally invest in youth activism, peace building, democratization? Are there any challenges, or is it for us from the outside world very simple? You have determination, you have a goal, and you have funds.
Wow, no, nothing is very simple, I think, and definitely in no country, and not here either. Well, I think really what I would really just like to echo what Ambassador Sattler said about you know, this the long-term perspective that we need to have on the process in the whole Western Balkans, but also in this country. And I'm happy also, of course, to hear him giving that simplified answer as no. We need to hang in there. We need to continue working, and it is. I mean, it's important for all of us. It's important for us who are already members of the European Union to be developing in a good way, but it is definitely important for this country. We have a very strong engagement still from our government to, for one thing, as a part of the European Union, but also as a separate member state. You know that we have a substantial development cooperation, and that is one aspect, one facet of our strong engagement for the Western Balkans, and that includes Bosnia and Herzegovina. We are at this moment just waiting for our government to extend for another 7-year period, coinciding with the perspective of the European Union on development cooperation. And by the way, Bosnia is actually the biggest receiver in the Western Balkans from Sweden in that sense. We have, for this new phase, expectations and very clear indications that we will have a stronger position on working towards trust building and I mean, in the longer run, to something that would lay the ground for peace building and for reconciliation. I think there is a long way to go to reconciliation. You have to do your homework, and this country has to be working on that. And I think we need to do more of the same in many ways. We definitely need to be working on in our case, on the policy level, on the higher political levels, on rule of law, anti-corruption. All those issues are quite important, but they come together as some kind of enabling environment for young people to be staying on. Because if people don't stay, you don't have the possibility of those dialogues, of that solution. So all the efforts done to make people stay and to make people engage in their local communities and on different levels, I think is really important. So we support that. We keep supporting that. We try to integrate youth issues into everything we do also. So try to have a youth perspective and see to it that the interests of young people are catered for. So both on the higher level, on the local community, civil society, and municipal level, we need to be continuing that work. I'm encouraged to see everyone here so engaged and knowledgeable in these issues. So really happy to participate, and congratulations to you all for your work, and to RYCO for continuing and keeping together and inspiring this work. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for this also inspirative work. I think that the best manner is actually to follow the Sweden concept, if I can call it, is actually that the youth perspective is a cross-cutting component or issue, and it's not a separate thing that you only devote a couple of minutes of your time. So thank you for this, and thank you for as well partnering and also supporting the work of not only RYCO but of young people in the region. I think we are out of the time. I thought that other panelists would have one sentence what we can do better, or where we see the fundraising moments very important, but I know that the ambassador needs to leave, and I promised you that I will not keep you after 4 hours and 10 minutes. So Ambassador Sattler, please, if you can have closing words or remarks, I would appreciate it.
I don't want to keep you any longer. I think I have my closing sentence and ideas and vision before I think the European Union, and we are now still celebrating very much this Europe month, is very inspiring in the sense that this was built on the ruins of the biggest catastrophe of the 20th century, 50 million people dead. And there were a few wise people, far-sighted politicians reaching out and building the union, the beginnings of the union on the ruins of this catastrophe. But without the civil society, without initiatives like the German Franco Youth Exchange, this would not have taken root as it did, and would not have developed as it did. So it takes two in that sense. It takes the political framework, but it also takes very much the buy-in from society. And here you have an incredibly important role to play and continue to play. And yes, not everything is positive, as Branka has mentioned. On some fronts, we don't seem to make a lot of progress. But RYCO, for instance, is a real step in the right direction, and it takes a few years. It takes time, as you said, Verena. You can't build everything in a day. But that what we heard from Enisa, from youngsters from Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, getting together, exchanging, having this soul searching, also getting to terms with the past, I think is incredibly important. So please keep up your wonderful initiatives, and let's keep moving.
Yeah, thank you for that. I need to say one sentence, if it's not a problem. This panel was organized as celebration of 9th of May, the Day of Europe, and thank you actually that you always somehow find a way to provide a platform for young people. Even within the COVID situation, we are on Zoom, but it doesn't matter. It's still, in my opinion, very important and relevant. You provide in societies of the Western Balkans really platforms for young people or relevant actors to come and to say something. And I mean, we cannot change the system, Alan and Vladimir, and but it's a long way to go, and we need to make steps. I think you are doing them. And ISA emotions are also part of the reconciliation process and peace building. And what Irma and Branka are doing, as well as the teachers around the world and the education officer, it's very much important, because maybe you will be the initiation capsule for the young people of your schools to start learning or reading differently. So thank you for your time, Ambassador, but also Mr. Svenungsson, thank you for your always cooperative manner and approach to civil society organization, but also to the governments, but also high schools in this manner on this panel. And Ambassador, see you tomorrow on evening's game, if I'm not wrong. So it will be a pleasure to see you as well. Thank you all for your time and contribution to this panel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Hvala vam. Vidimo se.
Bye.
Hvala tebi, Berija.
Hvala čemu. Hvala.